Coming up on Network Africa. At least 32 people die in Egypt's train crash. Tanzania's former president John Magufuli buried in his northwestern village of Chato. Plus, Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta orders all his ministers to take COVID-19 vaccine. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Teniola Shobowale. The Egyptian Health Ministry says that at least 32 people have been killed and more than 60 others injured in a train crash. Video and photos of the incident in the southern province of Sohag show train carriages derailed above a water channel. Egypt has suffered frequent accidents on its railway system due in part to poor maintenance and lack of investment. The VOA's Edward Yeranian joins us now live on the program from Cairo for more on this story. Edward, what more can you tell us about this train crash at this time?
Yes, Tenny, I think that emotions are running high, given the fact that there have been a number of casualties and that frustration with Egypt's railways is something that has people tense on most occasions anyway. And as you could see from the video and other video that's been playing, there are a lot of people who are upset. Victims who are still trapped under the debris, and really they can't start helping those people until someone is able to get the carriages that turned over or sort of are on their sides to get them back upright. And someone was yelling in the video about getting a winch to right those cars. I don't know if that's readily available. And so the operation looks like was stalled for a period of time. And emotions in other parts of the country where people were not affected are high too. Everybody has been talking about it.
So the health ministry says about 60 others were injured in this incident. What's the update on that? Is the death toll likely to rise?
I honestly never go with death tolls that I hear in the Egyptian media or the Arab media in general, because you never know what's going to happen in the end. And even if they do go with those numbers officially, that doesn't necessarily mean they're right. And I've seen, not in Egypt, but in Iraq, the authorities lowballing casualty figures because it suits them politically. So I would never really go with the figures that are out there, but that's what they're saying.
All right, Ed, like you mentioned earlier, this happens too frequently in Egypt. What are the authorities doing to curb these accidents?
They've actually purchased new locomotives within the last year. They purchased American locomotives, and a friend who takes the railways each day to work told me they had some new Russian locomotives within the past week that have shown up on the rail lines. Of course, that's nice, but the tracks in some places are not in good shape. The drivers in some cases don't know how to use the equipment. and there are too many passengers in the carriages. So having new locomotives is nice, but if you don't have new carriages and you have too many passengers, that's also a problem.
All right then, Ed, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed.
Many thanks, Tenny.
In East Africa, Tanzania's late president, John Magufuli, has been buried in his northwestern home village of Chato. Mr. Magufuli died last Wednesday after a mysterious absence of almost 3 weeks. The Tanzanian authorities say Mr. Magufuli, one of Africa's most prominent coronavirus skeptics, died from heart failure. Earlier this week, African leaders paid tribute to Mr. Magufuli during a funeral ceremony for the late Tanzanian president. Among them were Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi, Kenya's Uhuru Kenyatta, and Zimbabwe's Emerson Mnangagwa. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa delivered a eulogy where he praised the late Magufuli as a tireless champion of the cause of African progress. So our coverage of the COVID-19 pandemic, Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta has banned all inland travel in and out of 5 counties, including the capital Nairobi, to stop a surge of COVID-19 cases. Mr. Kenyatta says no road, rail or air transport will be allowed until further notice. He also declared some counties to be disease-infested zones. All in-person meetings in the counties have been banned. The new measures will come into effect at midnight. Meanwhile, President Uhuru Kenyatta has instructed the entire cabinet and members of his executive office to take COVID-19 vaccinations. The directive to lead by example was confirmed by his chief of staff. The East African country is in the midst of a deadly third wave of infections and reported its highest daily number of new infections on Wednesday. The Doctors' Union on Tuesday said the country had run out of ICU beds as it deals with the surge, with healthcare workers among those admitted at various hospitals. The country has so far confirmed more than 126,000 coronavirus infections and 2,092 deaths. Our Kenyan journalist Cyprus Ombati joins us now for more on this story. Thank you so much for joining us on Network Africa. How are Kenyans reacting to this directive from President Kenyatta that his entire cabinet and members of his executive office must take COVID-19 vaccination?
There has been a slow intake of this program inoculation at large, because of lack of kind of leadership. The top leadership in the government had been reluctant in being vaccinated. Save for around 4 or 5 cabinet ministers who have been vaccinated in public, most of them are shying away from doing it. So the directive from the president was expected to kind of instill some confidence in the whole program. There has been suspicion, or rather rumors about the vaccine. So his move to direct the cabinet to do that was expected to instill the confidence as it needed for a bigger crowd public to take the vaccine. The president himself has not been vaccinated in public and made claims that he may have been vaccinated earlier on using another form of vaccine, either from China or Russia or America. But we don't know exactly because he has not done it in public. So we just, his move to order the cabinet and the other top government officials to take the vaccine is aimed at moving or rather encouraging other people to do it also, because even the officials from the Ministry of Health, who are public health officials, who are supposed to lead in the program, are also reluctant in taking it. So this has affected the entire program in terms of uptake. But we have seen the past week, we've seen kind of a a surge from the public in general because people are worried about the surge in the country of the virus. So there's been a huge kind of reaction from the public who want to be vaccinated on their own.
Well, tell us more about Kenya's vaccination program. What's the pace like, and are there enough vaccines to administer to the people?
There has been a slow uptake of this medicine, the vaccine at large, because since the beginning of this month, when it was started, almost 60,000 people have been vaccinated out of 1.2 million doses that arrived in Kenya. That's very low because by now we expected the number to be around 300,000 or more. There's concern among Kenyans or even health workers or the government at large that the program is low. There's a compound of many other issues, including poor pay from the government to the staff being involved, a lot of suspicion, a lot of lack of kind of leadership from the ministry and the government at large. Because even the cabinet secretary in charge of health himself has not been vaccinated in public to steer that kind of confidence that people need. But then there has been a huge surge of people who want to do it on their own because they are seeing the third wave is really deadly and dangerous at large. It's killing people in large numbers because nowadays more than 20 people are being killed daily. It's worrying many Kenyans. So that's why we are seeing a huge kind of a reaction from the public who want to be vaccinated. We hope as more exercise being rolled out in the coming week to see an increased number of people being vaccinated, because we understand that the Russian vaccines has also been approved for use in Kenya and the emergency program. But then there are also other reports that this Russian vaccine is being sold. The government says all vaccines that are coming in Kenya are being administered freely. So private hospitals or practitioners are the ones behind the importation of this Russian vaccine. And there's that kind of push and pull from the stakeholders to allow it being administered for those who can afford. And then it will be costing around $100, which is a bit expensive to many Kenyans. But there's a wait and see. There's a sluggishness at large in the whole program.
All right, then, Kenyan journalist Sarah Sambachi, thank you so much for your reporting. Well, more on the COVID-19 pandemic now. The coronavirus has reversed development gains for millions in poor countries, creating an even more sharply unequal world. That's according to a new UN report released on Thursday. According to the Financing for Sustainable Development Report 2021, the global economy has experienced the worst recession in 90 years, with the most vulnerable segments of society is affected. The report adds that some 114 million jobs have been lost and about 120 million people have been plunged back into extreme poverty.
The message of the report is clear and it's stark. COVID-19 is the leading sharply bifurcated world, leaving hundreds of millions of people behind and putting the development agenda seriously at risk without immediate action on financing for development. The pandemic has caused the worst recession in 90 years and disproportionately affected the most vulnerable segments of our societies, including women and youth. We're seeing between 119 and 124 million people estimated to be the newly pushed into extreme poverty, and the world has lost the equivalent of 255 million full-time jobs. Today's new report puts forward important recommendations. It calls on governments to invest in people, social protection, sustainable infrastructure and green jobs. It also calls on the international community to support the poorest and most vulnerable countries with debt relief and other measures to ensure liquidity, including the allocation of additional special drawing rights. The United Nations is strongly committed to helping ensure that all our countries can emerge on equal footing from this crisis and with an equal chance of building a safer, healthier, more equal and sustainable future.
In the meantime, the World Health Organization has called for fairness in access to COVID-19 vaccines so as to improve vaccination in Africa. The WHO says that while vaccines have been delivered through the global partnership COVAX, current global supply constraints could mean a critical proportion of people remain unvaccinated for months. The global health body adds that vaccine doses have not yet arrived in 10 African countries. So far, the continent has administered 7.7 million vaccine doses. Still to come on the program. Our Africa Tech segment takes a look at the importance of cyber insurance. Please stay with us. Welcome to our Africa Tech segment. We often hear of health insurance or life insurance or even device insurance, but how much do we know about cyber insurance? With the alarming rate of cyber attacks and threats, cyber insurance is becoming more popular as a means to cover the loss and damages of cyber intrusions. Cyber attacks are constantly causing problems for organizations, and so many are turning to cyber insurance to protect them against some of the effects of a breach. Joining us now on the program is Chibuke Good News, a cybersecurity expert, and he'll be discussing with us what cyber insurance is, how it works, and some of the things to consider when deciding on a cyber insurance policy. A warm welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. As earlier stated, not a lot of people know about cyber insurance. It's just getting popular. Can you briefly explain what it is?
Okay, cyber insurance is the insurance cover that caters for the activities on the internet, things around data breach, internet infrastructure, the devices we use, and also since a lot of things are moving over to the internet and we have such things as attacks and loss of data, and these are not things that are often covered by the traditional insurance. Traditional insurance have concentrated more on physical things like fire, burglary, accident, but these are not peculiar to the internet, where the risk is quite different. The risk revolves around theft, fraud, infrastructure damages, and also things that are not the regular things we see offline. So cyber insurance now comes in here to cater for those things, to ensure that when people lose data or when people are attacked and some of the things they experience, then insurance companies are able to reduce the risk and the covers that for those that are affected by it.
You know, the same way people would question the need for health insurance, they might for cyber insurance as well. But is it for everyone?
As long as you have something to do on the internet, you need an insurance. So the most popular thing we do on the internet is probably using our phones to browse or read things we love. But we also save data, we save our pictures, we save our information, and this create avenues for both fraud, loss of data, and that brings a need for insurance. So imagine a situation where you have saved all your details in a digital file and saved it in a cloud. And one day you discover that is no longer there, or something has happened. There's a problem in a data center, or there's burglary somewhere where the data is stored and you can't have access to that anymore. There's a need for insurance to cover all those kind of things. So insurance generally, even outside the internet, has some people have a lot of reservation in this aspect because they feel that everything is dependent on God. But we know that, yeah, God is for everybody, but you still need insurance. You still need insurance to cover the data on your phone. You still need insurance to cover for businesses, for transactional information that you have on the internet, for transactional information you have about your customers, and also for attacks. We've seen some very grievous and very serious attacks on the internet that led to loss of money. Even last year, CBN reported a very huge number of money that was lost to internet attacks. So that creates a need for businesses that are doing things on the internet to have an insurance. And traditional insurance doesn't cover for that. So you need to use the cyber insurance, which properly understands the dynamics of those things and then covers that. Everyone needs insurance on the internet, but individuals and businesses.
What sort of attacks result in cyber insurance claims, and what does the insurance cover?
So the insurance, cyber insurance will cover things like infrastructural loss, things around data loss, things around cyber attacks, and things around data breaches. And privacy security is becoming an interesting topic right now, although Nigeria is yet to do a lot in that. But the privacy of the individuals and the privacy of the data that people are keeping is also something that needs to be ensured. And one of the biggest threats we have on the internet in this part of the world is fraud, hacking, email compromise, and all this kind of frauds. So these are the things that need to be ensured. So if you are doing transactions and collecting people's money, or you are collecting people's data on the internet, you need to ensure against that hacking. You need to ensure against DDoS, that's distributed denial of service. Some hackers could block your access or ability to deliver things and demand that you have to provide some money for them. So you need to provide some insurance that helps to cover the losses that cover that. Or else when it happens, you see that the risk could be huge and the implications could be higher than what the companies envisaged. We don't pray for such, but we expect that such doesn't get as big as it is. But the internet is exploding fast, which creates a need for us to ensure every activity that is happening there.
All right, then, cybersecurity expert Chibuke, good news. Thank you so much for joining us on the program and giving us something to think about over the weekend.
Thank you very much.
And finally on the program, an Egyptian man with a striking resemblance to Barcelona forward Lionel Messi, wait till you see him, is hoping to one day become famous for his acting ability and not just his looks. In the meantime, he's using his looks to thrill soccer-loving orphans in the country. Take a look.
They may not be meeting the real Lionel Messi, but Islam Batar's resemblance to the Barcelona footballer is so uncanny that the children at an orphanage in the Egyptian city of Zagazig flock around him in delight anyway.
When I started growing my beard, my friends told me that I looked like Messi. When I grew my beard even more, the resemblance was clearer. My friends suggested that I shoot videos of myself and put them on social media. I never paid attention to this. I work and my job was taking up all my time.
Seeing the excitement his presence causes at such events, the 27-year-old Egyptian painter is happy to pose as the Argentine, wearing a Barcelona shirt and joining in a game of football.
This happiness is in one's heart. When I came here to the orphanage, I felt an incomparable happiness, and the kids' happiness with the resemblance between me and Messi is indescribable. When you make someone happy, God rewards you. I wanted to share this happiness with them.
One of the children who played soccer with Batar is Amr Ashri.
I was so happy and felt that Lionel Messi is coming to play with us. I was playing soccer, found him coming to play soccer with us, and we were so happy. Now, I really want to see Mohamed Salah and all these players.
In the meantime, Islam Batar has no plans to become a footballer, as he hopes to become a famous actor someday.
Well, I definitely think Messi needs to ask some questions, just to be safe. And that's the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Teniola Shoboale. Have a lovely weekend.